Court will come to order. It is Monday, July the 8th, 2024. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and the Kirk County Commissioners Court is now in session. If you would, please rise for the prayer and the pledge, which will be led by Commissioner Lenz.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we just thank you for being in our hearts. We ask you to help guide this court as we deliberate things today. Lord, please send rain to the entire county. Parts of the county are certainly lacking these days. And finally, Lord, please look after all our first responders around the world. We ask these things in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. First order of business is to remind everybody carries these things. Make sure it's either turned off or to silence, so that does not interrupt the proceedings. And the first thing we do on regular Commissioner Court meetings is we have the public input. And this is an opportunity for the public to address the court and let us know what you think we need to hear. We don't have the opportunity to respond because it's input only. We ask that if you want to talk about something that's on the agenda, you wait until that agenda item is called. And further, we ask you to limit your remarks to no more than 3 minutes. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address the court? I know we've got some people speaking later, so we'll take that up at that time. So with that, we will move on to Commissioner's comments. Precinct 1.
We got almost 2 inches of rain as well. Wow. Still sprinkling this morning a little bit, hopefully. Precinct 1 was quiet. Only took a couple phone calls on July 4th, but I think everything went smoothly. So, Precinct 1.
Well, we weren't nearly as blessed as you were in terms of rainfall, but anyway. The burn ban remains lifted, but please be careful. We have been responding to a number of fires, not necessarily brush fires, but we had a vehicle fire that quickly spread into a 6-acre brush fire. So, it's getting to be that time of year. It's very dry. We've got a lot of dead grass and things that are quickly combusted. So just be very careful. But fortunately, as a result of the 4th of July and all those fireworks, we didn't have any fires to respond to, which was our greatest fear. Otherwise, not really any report.
Okay. Precinct 3.
As usual, Comfort had its 4th of July parade. Great city, small town America. They had I'm not sure who did the flyover. There's a flyover. They went by 4 times in different formations of vintage aircraft. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on aircraft, but it was pretty interesting. Anyway, very nice. The weather was great. So that was good. Another thing is that, for good or bad, we had a lot of politicians in the county over the 4th of July. We had some U.S. senators. I won't go into their names because they were very low-key, but there's some U.S. senators in town, some congressmen in town, and others. For some reason, they like the hill country as we do.
I'll make a real quick addition because you prompted me about the Comfort Parade. If you miss that one and you want to go to a parade, Saturday morning in Center Point at 10 o'clock, there'll be the Center Point Down Home Parade, followed by the Center Point Volunteer Fire Department annual barbecue fundraiser. Best barbecue you'll find, so please come out and support a really good cause. Thank you.
All right. Precinct 4.
I agree with you. Comfort always does a great job with the parades and stuff. Rain-wise, my house got 1.5 inches. The courthouse got a 1/2 inch. So better than nothing. And we'll take it anytime we get it. That's all I got, Judge.
Okay, on a countywide basis, we all talked about rainfall. The press comments that we talked about rainfall, but we did. And where I'm at in Precinct 4, I got almost 2 inches. So part of the county is getting more rain than the others right now. So that is noteworthy. This is also parade season. For those of you that haven't attended these local parades, they're really a lot of fun. Take a fan. To keep yourself moving. And other than that, Kirk County has a interlocal agreement with San Patricio County. And it's a reciprocity agreement to take care if there are emergencies or disasters. And this past weekend, late last week and through the weekend, Doug Thomas and I probably exchanged, I don't know, 30 or 40 I mean, Jody Season, and along with Heather Stebbins, our county attorney, because we were monitoring where the hurricane was going to make landfall. And if it had dropped down to Corpus Christi or below, it was going to really affect San Patricio County. As it turns out, it went north of that. And I had scanned and sent to me my Brewer Lake, my declaration of disaster. It was all ready to go, but we didn't need it. So just so that you know, our emergency management team was in place and very attentive. And we were connected remotely to be able to do whatever needed to be done on a moment's notice. So with that, we'll move on to the consideration agenda. Item 1.1. Consider, discuss, take appropriate action to proceed with upgrades to the courthouse fire panel using ARPA funding as approved by the Court Order 40587. Shane.
Good morning. Yes, I'd like to proceed with getting bids. The one bid I do have was $14,000, but if we use the ARPA funds, we have to get a minimum of 3 bids. We also have to consider that to be hubs, which is historically underutilized businesses that's veteran-owned, minority and women-owned businesses. So we have to contact those folks as well, to get bids, and we'd like to proceed with that and obligate the funds for said project.
Do you need approval from us to do that?
Well, it's more of an information thing, just so we're aware of what's going on and how we're proceeding with this.
Okay. Well, we approve you proceeding, I think.
Okay.
Are you gonna do it, continuing with ARPA and make them get 2 more bids, or are we gonna perhaps do a budget amendment that we have enough other projects to utilize the ARPA funds?
I mean, 14,000, I just didn't go ahead and proceed.
I think so too.
Gotta do it.
But, I don't want to have to spend more money to use ARPA. So if it's going to come
And
in
we've got
cheaper.
other projects that could take up the
Right.
slack of 14.
Then I need a motion and second to do something.
Would y'all like me
I
to
assume we still have some funds available in contingency?
Yes, speak for a second.
And Noah, go ahead and identify yourself and what your position is here at the county, so the public will know.
Okay, Noelle Putnam, grant coordinator. I just wanted to say on this particular project for the $14,000, it is a very simple project because it's considered a micro bid. We do not have near as many hoops to jump through in order to do the administrative side for the ARPA requirements. All we need to do is get 3 bids. I do have a list of companies that we can send out to at least get those 3 bids. It should be the simplest and easiest one of anything with ARPA if you do choose to go that route. And I was going to say something else. I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, it is considered a really good use of ARPA funding. It's listed on the list that you have. It's already in that list. And all of those projects that were on that list originally, those are appropriate and considered good projects for it. So just as a side note, with the ARPA funding, it would be simple, whichever way you decide to go.
Okay. Okay, well, we've heard from our grant coordinator, we've heard from our maintenance director. Is there a motion to do anything, or are we just taking information?
I think it's information, but go ahead and proceed with it, but don't award the contract. So it's going back and forth.
So you're getting a wink and a nod to go forward and report back.
I think we need to get 2 more bids, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's not obligated until we have a purchase order or a contract, so
We'll
Okay.
come back.
just looking for
And I'll
bids.
coordinate and get back with us.
All right,
Okay.
thanks.
Very good. We'll move on to item 1.2, which is the presentation regarding the equipment and air conditioning replacement plans for the maintenance department. Mr. Shane Evans again, our director of maintenance.
Yes, sir. Y'all have your sheet in front of you. And we broke it down from the 5-year plan to start replacing ACs with normally if about $10,000 per unit. It may run a little more than that, but it should stay around $10,000 with the new unit and labor. So I would like to start with mainly on the first floor is where I'm having most of my problems with ACs. Target those areas first, and then other ACs that don't cause me as much problem, but they're just as old as some of the ones we already got here, which are 20-plus years old. So the first year, we're looking at 70,000. Second year, right around 72,800, and so forth. We added like a 5% to each year, for each year, because it's not going to, for 4 or 5 years, just the price is not going to stay the same per unit. We did have to increase somewhat on each AC replacement.
So this is right at a little less than $350,000 over a 5-year plan, right?
As of now. Now that 2 years from now, that may change. If pricing goes up on new
We
equipment.
understand that. Yeah.
So
But I see here where you've included a 4% inflation increase for subsequent years.
yes,
Sounds good to me.
Presumably, year one is the next fiscal year.
correct.
It's not this year.
Starting in the 24-25 budget year.
So we have a plan.
That's right. Something, and take it, something for a budget.
Yeah. And have we already put this in the budget, or
Not yet.
it's about to be?
But Judge,
Legally, we want to get this out, so we know what we were looking at.
this is what we needed. Thank you.
Like I say, I'm glad to see it. Obviously, we all need to be aware that the best laid plans can go down the tubes real quick, and if a lot of things happen, we may need more funds, but I think
It's a start.
it's a good start, so.
So I'll work with the auditor, put that in my proposed budget.
Thanks, Shane.
Okay, moving on next is 1.3, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve a professional services agreement with Wellborn Engineering and Surveying to assist with a grant application to the Upper Guadalupe River Authority for a rainwater catchment system for the new animal control facility.
I'll start. This program, excuse me. This program is open to all nonprofit organizations, schools, public entities that are interested in initiating a rainwater catchment system or expanding a current system in Kerr County. So it's very similar to what we do for what UGRA does for homeowners. If you buy a rainwater system, show your receipt, show a picture, am I correct? Of it being installed, they will reimburse you up to 50% of that. So this is for larger entities. These applicants must use this rainwater catchment system to promote water conservation by the public, to the public, conduct water conservation, education, outreach programs, or otherwise provide water conservation benefits to the general public. And the county is very interested in being that government entity to show that to the public and how to do that before a building is constructed. And so that is what we're trying to do at the Animal Control Center. What we need for this grant, even though we have this lovely grant coordinator here, she needs a little bit of assistance. UGR requires excuse me, I am caught in my throat, can't speak. I've got some frog. UGRA requires the project to treat at least 60% of the runoff from impervious surfaces to be considered for this grant program. And that is why we need the assistance of Wellborn Engineering. And I might add that Connor Odom is the gentleman that is helping us from Wellborn. He's a local boy. Grew up in Kerrville, graduated from UTSA with his civil engineer. Parents are Todd and Janie Odom, so he's been a pleasure to work with. Just wanted to give him kudos in working with our local surveying company. So I make a motion that we approve this professional services agreement with Wellborn Engineering to help us apply for this grant with UGRA.
Second.
We've got a motion, a second.
Excuse me.
Any discussion?
A few additional comments. One, Wellborn's been involved with Peter Lewis, so he's very familiar with the site already, so that's why it makes sense to go with that engineering firm. And the cost of this, as I understand it, will be reimbursable under the grant. We, being Grover, myself, Peter Lewis, Wellborn, have been working with UGRA from day one on the design to make sure that we follow up. And we just need to get the application in.
Thank you.
And I see Ms. Bushnell with the audience. Do you have any other additional comments?
Yeah.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Tara Bushna with Upper Guadalupe River Authority. I just want to be available if you had any questions about the grant program. Our Water Resources Preservation Grant Program is an incentive funded by UGRA, and it provides that cost share funding in the form of a rebate for the design and the construction of practices that will improve stormwater runoff. So they'll decrease the quantity of runoff, but also improve the quality of the runoff. So a publicly funded facility implementing sustainable water management and use is really a natural fit with the goals of our program. And it can be potentially, the rebate, it will be more, can be more than 50% for this program in particular.
But Tara, is it fair to say it's typically around 50% or?
This is a new program for UGRA, and we have not had a initial project go out. It would be higher than 50%, what we're considering, yes. In this first round of the program, we did not set a minimum cost share, and so we're asking folks to put some skin in the game, but also to tell us all of their design and construction costs and request what they need in order to do it.
And what's your gut feel for the likelihood that you would be awarded a grant?
Well, I'm not on the committee that scores the project and awards it, so I think I can say that, again, it being a publicly funded building, the rainwater harvesting component, and also there's opportunity to add other types of practices as well, like permeable pavers or vegetative filter strips. Those are also eligible through the program. So the combination of those practices at this facility, the initial sketch that Connor showed us several months ago, would treat greater than 60% of the runoff, which would be a really excellent program for us to, excellent project for us to fund in the initial rounds of this program.
Before you leave, what's the total estimated cost of the rainwater system right now?
We really don't have an estimate yet. I mean, we've installed, will install, so the plans to install all of the gutters, all of the piping to the tanks. So what's remaining would be the hookup of the tanks and the tanks themselves, and we'd have it.
But I mean, originally, I think Peter Lewis had it in his.
There's a $200,000 number in there, but a lot of that's already been, not a lot, but a portion of that's already been incorporated into the building design. With all the piping to get there, that has to be in place before you build it.
And the grant, I apologize.
Go ahead.
The grant would consider eligible components of the system, the gutters, and anything that conveys water into the tank, as well as a pump. Anything that distributes the water, like through an irrigation system or just getting it to its end point of use, would not be rebated, but any of that infrastructure to get water into the tank and then the pump itself as well. And we are considering rebates up to $150,000.
And while I have you here, Tara, I was a little confused based on the comment made by Commissioner Overby, but for a residential rainwater harvesting system, did I hear you say up to 50%?
It's 50% of
There's a
what,
maximum on that.
$500.
$500.
Which if you're putting in a rainwater catchment system and you're a Kirk County resident, save your receipts and bring them to us.
Yeah.
And that is our regular
That's fine.
rebate.
I just wanted to clarify, because some of these systems are a lot more than, or even $1,000.
And you're probably more familiar right now with the cost of a tank than I am, but.
Well, it depends on the size of the tank.
Right.
Yep. That'd be what, 30,000 gallons. Thank you.
Okay. And Ms. Michelle, I want you to know that we value our partnership with UGRA and we look forward to working together in the future.
Thank you, sir. Likewise.
Jordan?
And I believe the county attorney's office has circulated a contract. We're just waiting on the scope of work for well done.
Okay.
But it can still be approved pending that scope of work.
Okay. So,
Actually, I think the scope came in on
Oh,
Friday.
okay.
Yeah, we've got it. It's attached.
so we've got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 1.4. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to authorize Peter Lewis Architects to prepare final documents for bid for the new animal control facility and authorize going out for bid. Mr. Lance.
I put this on the agenda just to kind of keep moving forward. Peter could not be here this morning, and I handed out a sheet that everyone should have, just to be real clear, as to the items that are going to be included as bid alternates. There are 6 items that are in the drawings. Rather than redo the drawings, Peter thinks it's far more efficient to list these as alternates to take out. And usually you have alternates to take in, but these to take out to get the savings down. And those alternates are removing the clear story at the kennels, removing the exterior euthanasia room, which is 652 square feet, removing the front canopy and the lobby clear story, remove the emergency generator, remove the perimeter fencing around the building, and have the seal coat paving would be done by Kirk County and not by the contractor. Those items would be included in the package as alternates. There's been a lot of discussion about the kennels. The kennels in the originally proposed were $40,000 for chain link type kennels. Those are included. Kennels are in there, not what we hope to have in the building, not what anyone has recommended we have in the building, but there are kennels. I just want to make that clear. But I just think it's time we need to get Peter Lewis, we'll prepare all the bid documents, move forward with that, and then come back to us with a final once it's all done. But we really need verification on what the bid alternates were. And with that, I'll make a motion to authorize Peter Lewis to proceed with the bid documents, and also to, once they're ready, we'll come back to court, I guess, to put them out to the public. But just approve the bid documents.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and second to approve the finalizing the documents for the animal control facility as discussed. Any other discussion?
Just, how did we not capture the $400,000 for the kennels in the original bond? I mean, okay, they got $40,000, but I mean, they worked on that thing for 3 years. How did this just come up after the fact?
I don't think it really worked on 3 years, but I mean, the bottom line is that they hired a local building contractor to come up with the cost of the building. That's where the bond number came from. At that point, they had put in basic kennels. Since then, represented the county, represented KPA, visited with the Atascosa facility and looked at the kennels, and it was highly recommended we upgrade those substantially for the safety of the animals and facility better. But that's the reason. A lot of these things, the additional items, some of that were like the euthanasia room. Those are things that were recommended by Henry at the Atascosa facility, their general manager or director, and also approved by myself, Reagan, KPA, looked at some of these things to try to make it for that facility. But these are things that can be added later. They're not part of the building structure. To me, the most important thing is to get the building built, and some of the furnishings can be adjusted later.
I agree with you on that, but we jump from $40,000 kennels to $400,000 kennels. There's some stair steps, there's some others in between that we can look at.
And that's, you can't, we could have specified a certain kennel in the building, in the bid package, but it really doesn't make sense to, because then you're paying an additional, probably 20% for, administrative to put them in. I mean, everything that goes to the bidding package, we're paying Peter Lewis and others, and some of that stuff we don't need architects on. I mean, we're building to accommodate kennels.
I agree with that last statement,
Right.
but based on what we recently heard from our county attorney, I'm a little confused on how that works. If it's over $50,000, we have to have an architect and or engineer involved in.
Those are building things. The kennels, I don't think those are furnishings.
Yeah.
I don't think they're structural.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah.
Just asking.
But either way, I mean, the main thing in my mind is to get the bid out, come in with a real number from a contractor and see where we are. Hopefully we can, and at that point, the court make a decision, do we add back in some of the alternates, or we put that money towards kennels? I mean, it's a decision the court has to make, but we have to get an estimate from the actual contractor before we can do anything. And this is the first step in doing that.
And quite frankly, all the public input that I received is they are anxious for us to put this out to bid and start working. Well, it's time to do it. So,
Did I make a motion?
yes, you did.
I second.
Yes, motion and a second. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
I had somebody who wanted to speak.
Oh, it's Tom, I forgot. I folks had it right here.
That's right after you said, I got you. I'll be brief. Tom Jones, Precinct 1. My concern isn't that. I think y'all done a great job on everything in regards to this. My concern is this was a voter-approved bond. And they approved a specific amount. And at the last meeting, because I attend all the budget meetings, where we're talking about it in excess of $1 million and going out for a C of O to approve and be able to accommodate those needs, and that is not voter approved. That's my concern. You're looking at trying to build what you envision, which is all great and good, and having it to the best we can get, but you're really exceeding tremendously the amount of the bond that was approved by the voters without a voice. And so I don't think that would be acceptable by the court to do, in my personal view. I think you have to have the input of the voters, because that could have even affected the vote for the whole bond to begin with. Because they're not even looking at the interest that's involved with it or anything else. Because with interest, you're looking at excess of what, $8 million? And now you're going to tack another $1 million on it. And I do think it needs to be very updated, very functional, everything that you've done there. But I think Peter should be building according to a budget, not a desire and what we think we need.
Tom, I alluded to that in the workshop.
Yeah.
I'm not making a comment to that. The intent is, with these alternates, is for the bid to come in within the bond amount.
Well, then I was going to ask you that.
And that's,
yeah.
it should.
Would those six alternates bring us to budget?
I mean, based on the estimator, who's a professional estimator, that came in the past couple of months and looked at the actual plans, taking out these items, it should come in within budget.
Well, that would be perfect
Never
if it does, because the last meeting, the discussion was the C of O, and including it with some other stuff in a package, and that's kind of going around the voters, in my personal view.
Yeah, I agree with your intent, and if additional funds will be needed for the partnerships. Those were never intended to be in the bond. And we can go in with the base count.
Right.
But this, or we can.
Well, at the last meeting, you made comments that, if we do this, it could set us back 6 months to redesign. And I wasn't talking about a redesign unless you just can't get there from here. And if you can't get there, you might have that as an option.
If the bids came in at 10 million, yes, we'd go back to redesign. But I mean, we don't know, until you put it out for bid, you don't know the real number.
Correct.
And that's what we have to do.
Correct.
We have to get it out for bid. And the estimator that looked at it thinks that getting these alternates, taking them out, will lower the cost within the bond amount.
Okay. Cool.
But we'll find out.
Yeah.
By about 1st September, or end of September.
Any other discussion?
Are we looking at any alternative means to fund some of these items? Have we started any discussion, fundraising maybe, besides the grant, obviously?
I have visited with KPA about helping with some of the stuff, and they,
I have a lot of background in
Yeah.
fundraising. We've had a lot of discussions about it.
so
Till we get
the answer is
the
yes,
exact
but
number.
again,
We don't have the number.
until we get the bids back, we
Yeah.
don't know where we are exactly. And the longer we wait to go out for bid, the higher the cost goes.
Any other discussion? And those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries unanimously. Why don't we take about a 5-minute break and we'll start, that way everybody will be fresh when we get back. The next item on the agenda is item 1.5, which is the timed item. We're starting just a couple of minutes late. We apologize for that. For us to be this close on time, and that is consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve an application from Bluewood Apartment for a tax abatement. We can actually, we're waiting to hear about this for some time. So, Daniel Wheeler,
Yeah, that's good enough.
Yeah.
identify yourself and who you're with.
Good morning, Judge and fellow commissioners. My name is Shay Byers with J Street Company. We're a Texas-based multifamily developer.
And Daniel Wheeler with the same J Street Companies.
Okay. You may proceed.
Sure. So, good morning, commissioners. We wanted to come before you this morning as a follow-up to our presentation that we made on the 28th in this court, and wherein we presented an incentive request for our apartment project in Kerrville called the Bluewood, a 273-unit multifamily development for a tax abatement incentive. And in the last meeting, this court approved a resolution pending our application for this incentive. And since then, we have submitted our application to the county along with all required documents and exhibits, and are before you today to, I believe, get your consensus for approval.
Submitting the application, right?
Submitting the application, yes, sir.
Now, the public's going to need a little bit higher level summary of what this request is so they'll understand what we consider.
Okay. Do we by chance have the presentation ready? No? Okay.
You do?
The presentation will be able to be seen on YouTube, but it won't be seen on the internal TVs.
Okay.
We just have an adapter problem that can't be fixed this morning.
Okay.
Next
So
one.
yes, the public could see it.
Okay. Then we can briefly just go
narrative
through.
of where it is, what it is.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
So this project is a 273-unit, 3-story, Class A multifamily project where right at Callow and Holsworth Drive, in that new section near I-10, that the city and county have spent some significant infrastructure dollars to really grow that area, along with the ballparks and I believe it's Crop Recreation Center that's over in that area.
Sports facility that's right nearby. Yep.
So it's really in that location, and the reason we selected that location is it's going to be an activation and a catalyst for future development, and really utilize the green space, the trails, the park, the recreation center that's been developed there. Specifically, the project where we are in the pre-development stages, we've pretty much put the entire, we baked the whole cake. And so what we didn't do, we didn't come to you guys, to the Commissioners Court a year ago and begin asking for money because we didn't know if we would need any help with an incentive. But where we are is we've raised the money, we've designed the project, and the money's just come back and said, this is the gap that you need to close the gap so that we would fund this project and get it out of the ground. So that is what daylighted and identified our ask from this body. So that's where we are.
But I think it's important to refresh the public's mind
Yep.
with regard to the amount of the gap, the cost of the whole project. Just put together the numbers for us so they'll understand what the ask really is.
Sure. So, I mean, all told, this is approximately $55 million project, and we have a $2 million gap. And of that, we have requested from the county a 70% tax abatement, which equates to just north of $800,000 over 10 years, based on our estimated appraised value of $25 million taxable value for this project. So we've asked the county for essentially half of what we need in that 70% tax abatement, which again equates to about $800,000. And it's roughly $70,000 a year, $80,000 a year, excuse me, over 10 years and just north of $800,000.
So essentially, the total property taxes that this project would generate for the county would be the total project before incentive.
Roughly $100,000 a year to the county.
Right. So this is new income to the county for which we're asking for 70% for 10 years.
So, go ahead.
I'm looking at the sheet that y'all provided. So right now that property is, I won't say zero. What's the current value, actual value of that piece of property?
Dale?
Oh, that 12 and a half acres where this track is going to be located, that's probably $150,000 assessed valuation. Where we're at, I get for the whole track.
So the valuation right now is $150,000 plus minus for that piece of property, and it will go up to
25
million. And the current, it comes up to year one's $102,000 is the estimated ad valorem taxes to the county. And this is only those are only to the county, and then in year 10 it's $133,000. So the county would retain basically $31,000 in year one and up to $40,000 in year 10.
So 3% growth per year. Estimated, yeah.
And to me, it's a project that makes sense. I mean, we need the housing. This isn't necessarily pro or con. We need this type of development. We don't want it in the county because we don't have the water in the county. The city is much better prepared for
Or wastewater.
Or wastewater. So, you know, these projects need to be in the city. I think you're asking part of the ask is to the county, and the equal part is to the city. Certainly benefits the county. And we currently have a piece of property that's bringing in virtually no value and hasn't brought in any value for forever. It always has been the intent for that property to be developed, I think. And this is a way for the taxpayers to receive $30,000 to $40,000 a year versus nothing for the next 10 years. And the only thing is, the question is, I mean, do we believe you that you need the money? And that's the good question. And, you know, from the presentation, I do. The project doesn't go forward, there's no revenue coming into the county.
I'd like to say something about that because I appreciate the question. We're not here to play chicken. Our loan with our lender, which is federal, it's HUD, it expires August 24th. And so you'll know by August 24th when you don't hear from us anymore. If we don't, that's where we are, is that we're at the goal line. And so this isn't an ask for a hope down the road that we'll get there. We're at the goal line. So it's either we're going to lock our rate before August 24th or we're not going to build the project. So, and we're just not here playing poker with you guys. We're not here trying to just extrapolate some dollars from the taxpayer and move on down the road and build our project. This is really the need.
One other question, and this is one that the county attorney raised to me last week. I'm not sure if you raised it for the rest of the report or not. Our policy will require, we believe, will require this to be designated a reinvestment zone. The application states that, you know, you're complying with our policy, so are we to take that to mean that if we are to move forward, that you want us to establish a reinvestment zone for this property?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I've been, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No.
I want to hear from you.
Well, I've been significantly silent. I haven't met with any of the principals personally. I've heard your presentation. I've been in this county for over 3 decades. And I am very familiar with the land that you have from 30 years ago. That was back when I was on the school board. And we were looking for locations to build a new high school and a new elementary school. For those, and I see Rosa shaking her head, she remembers all of this. And we were given an opportunity for very favorable terms to invest over there. But Holsworth Drive had not been built. And we did not select that property, even though we loved it. It was perfect for what we wanted to do. But we couldn't do it if we didn't have a road in place, because we knew that the mothers driving the kids to school would kill us. And that's true. You think I'm exaggerating, I'm not. But we've long wanted to do something with that property. That property has sat fallow, in my opinion, for decades, with minimal tax value on it. The taxpayers are getting minimum benefit from that. And it's time to develop that area. It's time to develop that property. And it's come on a different watch for me now. I sit on the Commissioner's Court instead of the school board now. But that is probably the highest and best use for that property. The second thing that I would add is that people are not really paying attention to what I consider to be the most serious existential threat to this county, and that is housing and affordable housing. I'm not suggesting that this is a federally underwritten project to be affordable housing. It's market value housing.
That's correct.
But we don't have any housing for people to rent, to live. Our workforce, there's no place to put up our workforce. Over half of the people that work for this county don't even live in Kerrville. They have to commute because they can't find a place to live here. Something has to be done, and it has to be done inside the municipal city limits, because they have the ability to build high-density projects. In the county, we really don't. We don't have the water availability, we don't have the wastewater capacity to handle that kind of development. And so this is the first, and probably last for a while, opportunity we're going to have to add any housing to Kerr County. And if this does not make, I doubt seriously that we're going to see another project proposed in the next several years. But we desperately need it. And you're meeting a vital need for this community. And I'm not looking at this in terms of whether or not you need the money. I think this is something that we ought to do to incentivize you to do this project, because we desperately need the project. We need to add these 273 units, housing units, on the rolls. And if we only get the benefit of 30% of the tax money for the first 10 years, that's a whole lot more than what we're getting right now, because we're getting next to nothing right now. I'm not putting anything down. I'm saying $150,000 for that property, that's pie in the sky. And so for you to take 70% of what our would-be taxes to reimburse for the infrastructure that you've had to put in to make this thing possible, and to provide that type of capacity, housing capacity for Kerr County, I thank you, and I welcome you.
Well, y'all know where I stand on this stuff. Every time it comes to tax abatements, I don't like them. To get me on board, I think the ask needs to be lower. If y'all could come in for the total take from the county, about half that, I'll be on board with it.
I missed your presentation when you came in a month or so back. I was on leave. So my questions, I've got several for you. Okay, 273 units as a result of the HUD financing. 23 are going to be made available for Section 8 housing. So where are those individuals going to be coming from?
There is no Section 8 housing.
It's not Section 8?
No.
This is all market
This is market
rate.
value.
All of them, or?
All.
I thought
100%.
No.
100% of our units are market rate housing.
100%, okay, that's good.
There will be no subsidies or half contract or Section 8 or, yeah.
Now, the city is looking at a project that will do that.
Right.
This is not it.
I think you're getting confused with it.
So who's going to manage this property long term?
That'll be us. That'll be J Street. We're very findable. We manage property, not that you want me to hear all this, but all over DFW. Washington DC, Maryland, Virginia, St. Louis, Chicago, all over the Midwest. So we probably have 5,000 multifamily doors under management and 3 million square feet of office. So we're a real management company. And we started developing in 2007 and have grown sort of, they kind of one hand plays the other. Really, we consider ourselves first are operators. So we operate multifamily for a variety of owners all over the country. And we got into development, we kind of reverse engineered and figured out what they're really good at and took to it and started developing and managing our own product. So we plan to set up a bulkhead here in Kerrville, and because of this type of financing, it typically dictates a little longer term hold. This is not like a name brand that you might know. I don't want to use any developer's name to disparage them, but they come in, they build, they lease, and they sell instantly. That's not what this financing is really in place for. It's for a little longer term hold. 5 to 10 years is very typical. So we want to manage that and be a part of the community for a long time.
And furthermore, I mean, we're a local Texas company. I mean, you know, our principals and, you know, the bulk of our team is local to Texas, the Hill Country, you know, a lot of Dallas-Fort Worth. But this is our home state, our home base. That's why we want to be a part of the community.
Well, you know, I'm always concerned, I'm not a fan of tax abatement projects either. And I'm always concerned about the long-term financial viability when you're desperate to have $784,000 from the county in tax abatements, that it raises great concern in my mind. And we haven't seen the detailed financial report on this project and your projections of revenue versus expenses and so forth. So I guess I'm not convinced.
Thank you. Will there be more questions? Okay.
Just,
You gotta go to podium.
yeah.
The people have to be able to hear it. This is Hunter Moose, our Assistant County Attorney.
Just quick from the county attorney's perspective, it's our recommendation to the court that if a motion is made, that it use the language accept rather than approve, pending it being reclassified as a reinvestment zone. Just in the event that that does not happen, it would limit future problems with reliance on the words accepted rather than approve, should that motion be made.
Hunter, is there a difference? I mean, I guess, between accept or approved subject to the establishment of the reinvestment zone?
I think either of those would work. It's just we don't, it's our opinion that you shouldn't accept it outright without that.
Right.
Then you create a problem on reliance on the court having already accepted it, but there being a condition on it. It needs to be subject to that condition is our opinion.
My understanding from visiting with county attorneys, and this is really a procedural matter. What we're talking about today is they had, on the 28th, we passed a resolution, and for them to submit an application. They have submitted that application. That triggers a somewhat detailed process of things that we have to do, one of which is to establish a reinvestment zone. And so we would be accepting the application today.
And that is our...
that triggers the subsequent process.
And that is the language we feel needs to be in the motion is you're accepting the application rather than approved carries with it the connotation that it's been finally approved. And that was just I know it sounds like a quibble, but it can create problems in the future, and future lawsuits should that language be used.
Thank you. Mr. Baruti, you want to address the court?
Sure. 1616 Glen Road, and I was under the impression that this area actually was already an opportunity zone, which is, I thought, a version of a reinvestment zone. Somebody can look into that if they want. All north of Main Street, in that midsection, I thought, of the city. But anyways, so generally speaking, I'm not against tax abatements, but tax abatements for residential property is a no-go. Simply put, you guys asked the question, what is this property bringing in revenue right now? And just call it zero. It's also bringing on no burden of cost to services, because we aren't servicing this property at all. You put 273 dwelling units with the 600 or so people that are going to be in it, you're bringing on cost of service to the area. If the people weren't currently living in the city, it's borne by the city mostly, but still it's coming in. To you all's budget, that's 1% of your population, give or take. And if you took your 1% of your budget, you're looking at $300,000 a year. So it's not a no-brainer that, oh, it's this new money. It's not. You have to calculate, estimate what expense is going to be taken on by the county or the city as far as providing those services. The other thing is with residential property, the difference between that and commercial property is residential property is paying property tax to pay for those services. It's not free money. You wouldn't be charging them property tax if there weren't services to be paid for. So this is kind of the same as someone comes into a restaurant to buy food and it's a new customer, so you're going to give them a discount lower than your overhead cost. That's what you're doing here. You're going to essentially discount this property in property tax lower than the overhead it costs to service this property. The other thing is you should never do a tax abatement agreement that doesn't have a dollar cap on it. This is basically an open-ended, it's for 10 years, and that's a cap. But if the tax rate goes up or their property value goes up, they're going to receive a lot more than you intended to give them. You have control over that. It should be in the agreement that if you're going to give anybody, commercial or residential, a tax abatement, it's for 10 years or up to whatever dollar amount you guys are happy with. And so the other thing is it's sort of a discrepancy. I'm not really sure I understand the deal. In this presentation, you're being presented with something that's saying the city's going to give $1 million and you're going to give $800,000 or whatever the heck it is. The city is going to look at this tomorrow and their presentation says you guys are giving $1 million. So I'm not really sure who's right or wrong, but as the public, we're sitting here looking at this and, you know, again, not knowing what's going on. If all you're doing is accepting an application, then, you know, have at it. Anybody can look at an application. But I would seriously consider turning down any tax abatement for a residential property and get the details a little bit better. I understand they're on a time crunch, but as a public citizen, that's not my problem. And to the point about needing housing, did any of you look at the presentation about what housing you're getting? It's ranging from 600 square feet up to 1,400 square feet, give or take. The price range is being quoted as like $1,300 to $2,500. That's not our workforce. That does not, nobody's claiming, if I have $2,500 to pay in rent, I actually can afford buying a house. And so this is not the housing that the city is looking for. It says it's targeting 80% to 100% of our area median income. That's false. Those price points do not meet that. I mean, some parts of them do, but it's not, as they say, 95% of all units target the underserved age. That's not true. And what family can move into a 600 square foot home? It's not going to happen. So you're talking about individuals. So there's a lot to look at here. It's, in my view, it's not anywhere close to ready for prime time, and I would urge you to turn it down until you get better details. Thanks.
I'd like to make a comment, and this, I don't know if Mr. Pace, I don't know if you looked at the paper last night, the meeting that you did miss. At that meeting, the superintendent of the KISD was here, Representative James Avery was here, Representative from Peterson Hospital was here, and I've talked to Ingram ISD, Bob Templeton as well. All of them support the need for this type of housing. I mean, they're not going to support this project, that's not their job, but they say this type of housing is what is needed for their staff in this county, in this city right now. So I think there's, I mean, I'm not gonna go into the price points and all that stuff. I mean, I'm gonna say is that I'm gonna trust them that they're aware of what their staff needs, and it is felt that they do need it. I do agree with one thing Commissioner Brewer did say. I think that it is wise to put a cap on the abatement amount, because things should go up, and that cap, you know, to me, it should be 800,000. So I think that is a good point, and that can certainly be incorporated in the agreement.
I think it's an excellent point by George with that.
Is the number 800,000 or is it 784,000? Because that's what I have in my copy of the.
The,
I've seen a couple different.
the,
23, 22, 22.
That's what it is.
Yep. So that's changed.
Should be, here's the, that's the actual breakdown as to the projected county taxes and the abatement, actual abatement amount based on the assumptions of the tax rate.
You say a cap of 800 and whatever, and I'll say cap of 5.
I mean, again, I'm gonna go back and, I don't know what wiggle room there is in any of this. I mean, that's a hard thing to say. My understanding is that there's none, to get move forward. And, to me, this makes sense to move forward with it. But my view is that, I think that we need to either commit or not commit. I mean, whether we're accepting or approving subject to certain requirements in our policy, doesn't make any difference. But I think this is, we need to be going, yes, we're going to do it, or no, we're not going to do it. I think it's not right to string it on and say, well, we're going to come back and look at it again. We've looked at it once already. This is the second time they did what we requested at that meeting. So I'll make a motion that we approve or accept the application as it was submitted and proceed with the requirements of our policy.
To include a cash cap at the estimated as presented.
Yeah, at 800,000.
Whatever.
Whatever we're asking, that's all we're asking for.
The cap of 800,000 over 10-year tax payment.
We're drilling 843 something.
That's what I say, 800. They're going to lose 33,000.
Yep.
We can do that here.
Do you need to put the wording in there for the reinvestment zone?
That's part of the approval process.
Part of the approval
Okay.
process would be for us to establish a reinvestment.
Either, if we establish the zone, then we could do that, but now, because we haven't, we have to establish the zone. They put it in their application, and that's what triggers that provision in our rules. So we have a motion, which I'll second, to accept the tax abatement application as presented with a cash cap. Any other discussion?
I'll move to amend that motion to the cap of 500,000 as opposed to the 800,000.
I'll second.
Well, he has to agree to the amendment, and I have to agree to the amendment.
I want to leave it the way I'm agreeing with that one.
Could you do it for 500? Huh?
I don't believe so, sir.
Well, I guess we find out.
And that's what concerns me, if it's
Yeah.
fragile on the financials, it gives me no confidence in the overall longevity and success of the project.
I think that concerns me. Any other discussion? Then those in favor of accepting the tax abatement application as presented with the cash cap as discussed, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
A nay? Nay? A nay. 3-2. Pass. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Charlie, do we need a break or can we go straight?
We can go through this, sir.
Very good. And we'll move on next to item 1.6, which is a public hearing. I convene a public hearing for the revision of plat for Creekside at Kent Burry, Phase 2, lots 94, 5, and 6. Is there anyone that was from the public that would like to address the board? Well, there being none, I will adjourn the meeting and move on to item 1.7, which is another public meeting. This public meeting is for a revision of plat for R.S. Walker's Addition, Block 8, lots 19 through 16, and a portion of 4th Street right away. Is anyone from the public that would like to address the board on R.S. Walker Addition plat revision? There being none, I will adjourn that meeting. We will then move on to item 1.8, which is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding a revision of plat, R.S. Walker's Addition, Block 8, lots 19 through 16, and a portion of the 4th Street right-of-way. Charlie Hastings.
Thank you, Judge. It's, I think I heard you say lots 19 through 16, but it is lots 9 through 16.
Oh, 9. I stand corrected, 9 through 16.
Yes, sir. This proposal revises parts of lots 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. That's a bunch of little tiny lots in Center Point. And a portion of 4th Street right-of-way totaling 1.16 acres into 2 lots instead of all of those tiny lots. Lot 9A will be 0.35 acres fronting on 3rd Street and Avenue C. Lot 16A will be 0.81 acres fronting on Avenue C. County engineer requests the court consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding a revision of plat for R.S. Walker's Addition, Block 8, lots 9 through 16, and a portion of 4th Street right-of-way, volume W, page 381, precinct 2.
I'll move for approval of the revision of plat for R.S. Walker's Addition as presented.
I'll second that motion.
We've got a motion and a second to approve the requested revision of plat of the R.S. Walker's Addition, Block 8, lots 9 through 16, and a portion of the 4th Street right-of-way. Any other discussion?
Just a question. Obviously, this is a good thing to do, but is this in full compliance with the model subdivision rules?
Yes, sir, because the model rules aren't invoked because we're not subdividing or combining lots.
Very good. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 1.9, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding a revision of plat for Stacky Ranch, part of Lot 1 and part of Lot 2. Charlie Hastings.
Thank you, Judge. This proposed revision adjusts the lot line between 2 existing tracts. Part of Lot 1, currently 31.863 acres, and part of Lot 2, currently 1.891 acres, will be revised into Lot 1A, 23.74 acres, and Lot 1B, 10.01 acres. Frontage for both lots will remain on Bear Creek Road. The county engineer requests the court consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding a revision of plat for Stacky Ranch, part of Lot 1 and part of Lot 2, volume 5, pages 77 through 85, precinct 3. If you're thinking that doesn't sound like that's right, Bear Creek Road, there are 2 Bear Creek roads in Kirk County. And one of them, you gotta go out of the county to get back into Kirk County on.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the requested revision of plat for Stacky Ranch as presented. Any discussion?
Just a quick comment, please pass on for my thanks to Bobby for diligent research and looking exactly how these plats were, how these lots were laid out originally.
He does an excellent job. Very handy.
Vote?
No, we haven't voted, but we have.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a timed item at 10:30 that I have to pass over until it is 10:30. So we will move on with the approval agenda. Let's go to item 2.1, which is budget amendments.
Good morning. You have 7 budget amendments in front of you. One of these is for the remodeling of the IT room. That money did come out of contingency. It was $1,200. There's one in there for the insurance proceeds to move those up so we can take care of the vehicles being repaired. And then we have a couple that are related to Senate Bill 22. They changed the rules and they're adding now that we can pay for unemployment insurance and workers' comp out of that money.
And that's being done in the 198?
198, the 216, and the county attorney's office.
Very good.
I move for approval.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the budget amendments as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is 2.2, pay the bills.
Yes, invoices for today's consideration amount to $2,082,565.10.
Move for approval.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the paying the bills as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2.3, late bills.
Yes, today's late bills are $12,299.20.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the late bills as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 2.4, which are auditor reports.
There are not any.
Thank you. And 2.5 is monthly reports.
Yes, for June 2024, payroll approval, County Treasurer Tracy Sullivan, District Clerk's Office, District Clerk Dawn Lance, Auditor's Office, County Auditor Tanya Shelton, Justice of the Peace, Judge Kathy Mitchell, Precinct 3, Constable Tommy Rodriguez, Precinct 1, Kyle Snyder, Precinct 2, Paul Gonzalez, Precinct 3, Brad Ryder, Precinct 4, Environmental Health, OSSF, Director Ashley Batter. I move for approval.
We have a motion and a second to approve the monthly reports as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 2.6, court orders.
We have our court orders from our June 24th meeting, number 40692 to 40720. They all have to be in order. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We've got a motion to approve the court orders as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. With that, we move into item 3.1, status reports from department heads. Any department head want to address the court? Okay. There being none, we'll move on to item 3.2, which is status reports from elected officials. We're up. We're over in the room. Okay, there being none, we'll move on to item 3.3, which is the status report from liaison commissioners. Any reports?
I attended a CARFA meeting last week. All is fairly good. People are more and more concerned about the weather and the summer heat. But, and the only other thing is quite a bit of discussion about the radios and when that will finally be implemented. It's a work in progress, so hopefully our VFDs will get their radios here in another couple of months.
Anyone else have a report? Okay, and we'll take a recess until 10:30, at which time we'll come back and handle the last agenda item before going into executive session.
Really important that you have that.
Welcome back to order. It is 10:30, and this is the designated time we have for each one of our regular commission court meetings between now and the time that we finalize our budget, to have a discussion. We're not taking any action, this is just a discussion regarding the departmental requested budget and tax rate. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address the court? Are there any of you that would like to address the court? Well, let me tell you, look, ma'am, go ahead.
Are you going to explain the difference between the proposed budget and the department requested budget, which is all we've talked about so far?
Right.
Is a department requested budget?
Well, what I was going to do is kind of give a status report of where we are. I've been working one day later than I thought we needed to be up here, but been working with our auditor on a proposed budget. The way the budget process starts is we ask each elected official that runs their office and each department and head that runs their department to submit their requested budget. And that's a request. I call them the ask. That's what people are asking for. We went through that whole process. We had 3 budget workshops to find out what it was that the ask was. We have that information all down in a nice little schedule. And then what I'm working on is what my proposed budget is going to be. In other words, my response to that ask. And I'm trying to be fair and reasonable in what my proposal is. And I should have my proposal ready probably by this time next week. And that'll give y'all a week to look at it before we get back into a regular meeting. The things that I'm looking at is I'm struggling with the impact of inflation and the cumulative effect of that inflation and the way it affects everyone. And I have to take into consideration that the county is kind of like a family. We work together. We spend more time together with each other before we spend with our families. And that makes it much more like a family. We're trying to take care of the county employees, the family, together. In that, I'm considering what kind of wage adjustment I'm going to recommend. We've tried to be fairly aggressive the last 2 budget cycles, and we're still short. And inflation continues, and it hurts everybody. But it hurts more than just the people that work here at the county. It hurts the taxpayers. This is a pain that affects everyone. And so I'm trying to make sure that we take care of our family. Everybody wants to support their family. It's this court's responsibility to support the county itself, county employees. And I'm struggling with new hires who bring a bunch of new people in when we can't even support the ones that we have. These are questions not easily answered. But these are some of the struggles that I'm going through. One of the things that I discovered, and I was sorry for being a minute late to get back from, I was visiting with our HR director. This has been an eye-opening budget cycle for me. I didn't realize there was that much difference between the economic consequence or impact of an increase in grade by 1 versus an additional 1 step. Steps are 2.5%. The grade is about 5%. And so, at first, I was looking at, I looked down at these grades. Here's 17, here's 17.5, here's an 18, here's an 18.5. I was trying to figure out, why do we need these 0.5 increases in grades? And the conclusion that I've come to is, I figured out why we need the halves, because that we don't need to increase 5%, or we didn't want to increase 5%, or couldn't increase 5%, so we did it by 0.7. But my take, the takeaway that I'm learning from this budget cycle is, a grade is worth more because it means more. And that, to me, a good example of that would be well, I'm not using any that's bad form on my part, but when you want to communicate to an employee that you value their contribution, truly value, and it's not just an accomplishment for a certification or a 2.5 year, 3-year anniversary, you can use grades. And as those grades get higher, they get more prestigious. You start looking at the people that are in grade 20 and up, those are the senior people. They're the people that we're leaning on. And so I'm trying to use grades as more of a compliment than just compensation. And of course, I can't do that with everyone, but we've got the requests that we've got. I tried to pick out the ones that I really felt like it was better to use grade to try to communicate my value for their contribution. Because everybody contributes, Even if we had no wage adjustments and we had no raises, we're still doing the same job. And we're providing services to the public to run a local government. Now, when I put this proposed budget out next week, we will then have our next regular Commissioner Court meeting, and we'll have another opportunity for the court to give me their input. So I've got input from you. This is to get input from the public. I'm sure the public will come. It's not yet. I have to wait to see more concrete numbers. But they will come. And to get input from my fellow members of the court here. And at the end of that process, the 5 of us will come up with what our decision is with regard to the final budget. So that's the process that we're following. And I will tell you that it's being taken it has been taken and is being taken, and I think will be taken in the end very seriously by everyone. So I hope that's really all I have to say about the budget is we've got some work to do over the next few weeks, but I'm confident that we'll get it done.
A couple of comments. And I'm not real sure how we added all these .5s on the grade.
I wouldn't either.
I know it didn't used to be there, and I think that a lot of the requests that come in from some of our elected officials, probably department heads also, when they ask for a 15 to a 16, in their minds that's 2.5%. But in reality, it's 5% under the way we currently did it. Unless I'm wrong, I'm looking at Kelly because she's been around longer than me, as long as me.
22. Easy.
A long time, and there used to be, there was no .5. The .5 came to be because of the sheriff's department originally. And this is right before the current sheriff. And somewhere along the line when we were trying to, I don't know, all of a sudden it exploded and we had a .5 there. And that has, I think, confused a lot of our employees and elected officials. And, but that's just where it is right now, so I understand that. And I really hope that after the budget is approved, September, October, that Commissioner Pace and I can get back on the committee and really look at a revamp of the system. It probably won't be done before I'm out of office, but I think a recommendation could certainly come forward the last 3 months of the year. We're pretty close, I think. A lot of things need to be looked at. The other thing I want to say is that I, and I'm sure other commissioners and judges have received emails from the public, and some of them, it baffled me. Some of them say that it's a secretive process, and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know how we can be any more open than we are. It's on YouTube, and we talk about it, and things are online, so it's certainly not a secretive process. And I hear a lot about, we need to do a baseline budget, which sounds good, but we have a couple things that, one, yes, we control the budget, but we also are obligated by the Constitution to fund all the other elected officials to what they need to do their jobs. So it's not like we can just arbitrarily go into the tax assessor's office and say, well, we're going to cut a couple people. We don't have the money. We can't do that. Because constitutionally they have their responsibilities to fulfill their office. And that's a little bit different. And then we get mandates frequently from the state legislature, which are, again, I mean, things that we have to do that are not compatible with the baseline budget necessarily. So there's a lot of, it's a complicated process. We try to do it as open as possible. I like this process better than anyone I've ever used in the last 27 years of doing the format we're using, but it's still very complicated.
Well, and I want to echo something you just said. This budget cycle has really opened my eyes that the step and grade system is profoundly imperfect. And it has not been enforced consistently. And there is a need, a real need to sit down and reevaluate how we're going to put together the structure to be able to handle this ask and responses fairly and consistently. So this re-examination of step, grade set, I'm always prepared.
I'd like to make just a couple comments. And I don't do it very often, but I'll compliment Judge for the process this year. You know, my second year going through it, I think it is far more open and transparent, and the public's been given the opportunity to comment. But the big complaint that I get from the public is, well, they don't have the basis really to comment yet. Because they haven't seen, you know, that summary document. What's the total?
We haven't either.
I know. But I'm just trying to make it clear for everybody. I think once you have the proposed budget and that goes out, we're likely to see a lot more, of course, public input. So they are interested, they're keenly interested, and they're waiting to see what the numbers look like. I am too, and I'm very concerned about it.
Well, so
But anyway.
the public understands, and to the employees too. I mean, you need to understand how this work works. The first set of numbers are the internal numbers of the respective departments and offices. And those are not public yet. Those are, they're putting together their ask. That's what it is. And then they come to us and we listen to their ask. That's why we have the workshops. We listen to the ask. And it's fair for the public to go back on YouTube and listen to every one of the workshops, because they got up and told us what their ask was. To the person.
It's just, we should emphasize that just because that's their ask doesn't mean that's what they're going to get.
Absolutely. And what I'm
It's
looking
not a
at
given.
the schedules that I'm working from right now, with the auditor article, has what the ask is, has what last year's budget was, what the current situation is, the status quo. Then it has the ask, and now we're working on a column over here of what my proposal is going to be. And then there's going to be still another column out there as to what it is that this court wants to do. And all of that's going to start becoming public on Monday when I put out my budget. When I give you my proposed budget, then that's something that the public, I think, should be able to see.
The question, your budget will get next week. My recollection is on the 22nd, we have a budget workshop.
Yes.
It's our next court day, but that afternoon we have a workshop. Is there another workshop right after that?
Yes, there is. Three.
Three more after that? Okay.
We did 3 workshops before and 3 workshops after.
Okay. And then the other question I have is, do we know yet when we're going to get the 95% numbers from the appraisal district?
Most of the end of this month.
I know they're
Every year it comes in, we've gotten them as early as a week before the end of the month, but it's usually right about the last couple of days in July.
They were.
Their deadline to get those to us is July the 25th.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's every year.
And they don't get them to us early.
So they're very late getting out a lot of their notices this year.
Hey, this is a busy time of year for everybody. Anybody in local government, this is a busy time of year. School districts, municipalities, homes.
We can assume 10% more than last year, plus a little bit for new properties.
Well, In case you didn't catch that was sarcastic.
I admit.
I mean, if we could wish it, we would, but it doesn't happen that way sometimes.
Just how much the appraisals go up.
Maybe we should see this for what they do. These things are certainly slow.
Anything else on budget? And with that, we're going to adjourn briefly and reconvene in executive session. We have one item on the executive session, which is a personnel matter to consider, discuss, take appropriate action authorizing to continue benefits and grade and step status of the employee as an initial hire for Kerr County. That's what we will take up when we come back in executive session. We will move on to item 5.1, which is action as may be required on matters discussed in executive session. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that regarding an employee that moves from one department to another department within the county, that there will be no gap in employment.
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion and a second.
Is that good?
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just think I would like to give a message to all of our staff that don't rush to a decision in the heat of a moment. If you're angry, upset over something, sleep on it. Talk to other, perhaps more mature advisors and take their counsel. I'll leave it at that.
And your number is what?
On the website.
Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
4-1. Motion carries. We are adjourned.